full of women apparently makes me nervous. Thank you, Mrs. Harper, for the lovely introduction. First off, I would like to say that this is such an honor to be asked to stand in front of you tonight and tell my story. Cancer is a word that's heard very frequent today, and it has been a reality in my life for the past 10 years. In 2000, my dad was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He had a tumor that measured 1 foot long across his chest that was inoperable. I'll never forget the looks on their faces the day my parents came home and told me. My mom sat at the end of my bed, and my dad came up and sat next to me, kind of leaned me forward and put his arm around me, and told me that the doctors had found a large mass in his chest. My heart sank. The reality that my father, the man who protects me from everything, now is so vulnerable. My dad went through 8 months of chemotherapy and 25 sessions of radiation, and I never missed one appointment. I would curl up with him in the chemo room, and when he'd fall asleep, I would sit there in disbelief that my family had to face something so horrible. Luckily, I knew that my dad had a great sense of humor and he would get us through it. A couple of years later, my girlfriend's 2.5-year-old little girl was diagnosed with retinoblastoma. She lost her eye to cancer and went through chemotherapy. Shortly after that, I received a phone call that a close friend of mine, a childhood friend at the age of 28, was diagnosed with testicular cancer that had spread to the lymph nodes, to his stomach, and to his lungs. He underwent invasive surgeries and chemotherapy, and I thought, wow. Prior to 2000, I thought that cancer was a death sentence, but the reality is, it's not at all. They are all here, happy and healthy today. My dad, my girlfriend's daughter Morgan, and my friend Avery. As life started to get back to normal, I thought, thankfully, this is my life experience with cancer. I don't have to face this ever again. It's just going to be a memory. Then in 2003, I had found a lump in my breast that was proved by an ultrasound to be fatty tissue. Thankful, but I have always done self-exams since high school for some unknown reason, and I made a promise to myself that I would continue. In May of 2005, I had the world by the tail. I had a great boyfriend, a great circle of friends, a life in politics, and frequent trips home to Cape Breton to be with my family. One day, through doing a self-exam, I found a hard lump at the end of the existing lump in my breast. My heart sank, and instantly my gut told me that this wasn't right. I flew home to Cape Breton the following week. On Thursday, I had a doctor's appointment. On Friday, I had a breast ultrasound. On Saturday, I had a mammogram, and Monday, they sent me for a biopsy. On Tuesday, May 31st, 2005, the doctor called and said, "Lindsay, I am so sorry to tell you, you have grade 1 adenocarcinoma, the beginning stages of breast cancer." At age 27, I was facing cancer, yet again, this time personally. As I leaned the phone down, my mom was sitting across from me and I mouthed the words, "It's cancer." I watched her entire world crash in front of my eyes. All I could think of was how my mom, my best friend, was going to cope with this. It was at that second that I knew that I was going to be the strength for my family and that I was not going to let cancer get the better of me, physically or emotionally. I cried for about 30 seconds. I looked at her, I said, "Mom, it's okay, I got this." If there's any kids in here, plug your ears. I'm kicking cancer in the ass with my stilettos. It was tough to tell my mom, but it was even harder to tell my dad, as he knew exactly what I would have to face. When he came home, I went outside and I gave him a hug and I said, "Daddy, it's cancer." As his eyes filled up, he put a big smile on his face and he said, "We will get through this. This is nothing and we can beat this." I knew at that moment that I would not be fighting this fight alone. I took a few minutes to process it, then I made the call to my boyfriend in Ottawa, my brother in Windsor, the 5-minute drive that felt like an hour down to my grandmother's house, and then to all of my family and friends. My life as I knew it in a matter of minutes had drastically changed. In the coming months, I underwent a lumpectomy, 4 sessions of chemotherapy, and 29 sessions of radiation. But through it all, I stayed positive. I made a commitment the day that I was diagnosed that I was going to take this as a blessing and use my not-so-shy personality to spread the message loud and clear about the importance of self-exams. Mine was overlooked 1 month prior by my doctor. I found the lump, I noticed the change, and I pushed for the tests. I didn't wear a wig when I lost my hair, as to me, bald was beautiful, and it confirmed that I was fighting the fight of my life. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a sick cancer patient. I saw strength and I saw determination. To me, being bald meant the chemotherapy and treatment was working. I decided to use my bald head as a statement so that I could put a face to cancer. I would dress up and wear big earrings and big heels, and wherever I would go, when people would stop and ask me if I did this as a fashion statement, I would kind of laugh and say, "No, I wish." And I would look at them when they would walk away, and I would say, if you take anything away from today, it's that you will go home and tell every woman in your life that you met a 27-year-old that was diagnosed with breast cancer. And because of a self-exam, she's here today to tell the story. Although not all days were easy given the side effects of chemotherapy and treatment, but I was determined to stay positive. From the moment I was diagnosed, I made a promise to myself that I would help women for the rest of my life try to understand cancer, if that's possible, but to try. No matter what culture, race, or religion, we are all strong and beautiful women, and we can fight this together. When women are diagnosed with breast cancer or any kind of cancer, and they lose their hair, they lose their breasts, they have a scar, and they wake up every morning and see a scar that's a constant reminder of cancer, it can be extremely challenging. It's at that moment when you have to stop and ask if anything has beauty to do with the outside, if beauty has anything to do with the outside. You look into your soul and you say, am I a beautiful person because of who I am? Or am I a beautiful person because of what I have done and can offer others in life? I've learned from every woman battling this disease that beauty goes far beyond skin deep. It has absolutely nothing to do with the outside. Cancer has been a blessing in my life. Although there are a lot of days I suffer from the side effects of tamoxifen, and life after cancer is not the norm that I was used to, I also realize that life is precious and it's so fragile. Life is too short to worry about the small stuff, like a lineup at Tim Hortons, a 5 o'clock traffic jam, or a work deadline that you know is impossible to meet. In the grand scheme of life, 5 years down the road, you will not remember any of those moments. What you will remember is the moments that you stopped to help someone, the moments that you told somebody that they look nice, or you gave a complete stranger a smile. Every day I make it a point in life to do something nice for someone, and I never let the opportunity pass to tell those that I love how special they are to me. I am so thankful for each breath I take, for each smile I am able to give, and for each hug that I receive. Life is so precious and simple. We are the ones who complicate things. Ladies, and I think I see a couple of gentlemen out here as well, I'm here today to share my story with you, but I also want to educate you that cancer is okay. I don't suggest you run to the mall and pick up any, but it's okay. It's not what it used to be years ago. For me, cancer made me realize life. It made me want to be a better person and to help those face the scary diagnosis and the unknowns, and to let people know that we are not alone. It's made me want to volunteer with organizations such as the Canadian Cancer Society, as because of fundraising and awareness organizations like this, we have so much support. Through donations, we have been able to support those, to provide support to those in treatment. We have been able to have an ear to listen should we have questions. And we also have ongoing research so that our children and children's children can someday have a life without cancer. I will never forget that shortly after I was diagnosed, I called the local Canadian Cancer Society in Cape Breton. As I spoke to the woman on the phone, I had told her that every year my dad participates in the Relay for Life and does the Survivor's Lap. As I started to cry, I told her that I was just diagnosed with cancer